I will, he said. I will. He stalked past us, mouth set, small hands. Wharton was right, they were pretty, fiddling with his comb. He went up the steps and ducked through into my office. Brutal and I stood by old Sparky, waiting for him to come back and not talking. I don't know about Brutal, but I couldn't think of a thing to say. I didn't even know how to think about what we had just seen. 3 minutes passed. Brutal picked up Percy's rag and began to polish the thick back slats of the electric chair. He had time to finish one and start another before Percy came back. He stumbled and almost fell coming down the steps from the office to the storage room floor, and when he crossed to us he came at an uneven strut. His face was shocked and unbelieving. You switched them, he said in a shrill, accusatory voice. You switched my somehow, you bastards. You're playing with me, and you're going to be goddamn sorry if you don't stop. I'll see you on the goddamn breadlines if you don't stop. Who do you think you are? He quit, panting for breath, his hands clenched. I'll tell you who we are, I said. We are the people you work with, Percy, but not for very much longer. I reached out and clamped my hands on his shoulders. Not real hard, but it was a clamp, all right. Yes, it was. Percy reached up to break it. Take here. Brutal grabbed his right hand, the whole thing, small and soft and white, disappeared into Brutal's tanned fist. Shut up your cake hole, Sonny. If you know what's good for you, you'll take this one last opportunity to dig the wax out of your ears. I turned him around, lifted him onto the platform, then backed him up until the backs of his knees struck the seat of the electric chair and he had to sit down. His calm was gone, the meanness and the arrogance, too. Those things were real enough, but you have to remember that Percy was very young. At his age they were still only a thin veneer, like an ugly shade of enamel paint. You could still chip through. And I judged that Percy was now ready to listen. I want your word, I said. My word about what? His mouth was still trying to sneer, but his eyes were terrified. The power in the switch room was locked off, but old Sparky's wooden seat had its own power, and right then I judged that Percy was feeling it. Your word that if we put you out front for it tomorrow night, You'll really go on to Briar Ridge and leave us alone, Brutal said, speaking with a vehemence I had never heard from him before. That you'll put in for a transfer the very next day. And if I won't? If I should just call up certain people and tell them you're harassing me and threatening me? Bullying me? We might get the bum's rush if your connections are as good as you seem to think they are, I said, but we'd make sure you left your fair share of blood on the floor, too, Percy. About that mouse? Ha! You think anyone is going to care that I stepped on a condemned murderer's pet mouse? Outside of this loony bin, that is? No. But 3 men saw you just standing there with your thumb up your ass while Wild Bill Wharton was trying to strangle Dean Stanton with his wrist chains. About that people will care, Percy, I promise you. About that even your offsides uncle the governor is going to care. Percy's cheeks and brow flushed a patchy red. You think they'd believe you? He asked, but his voice had lost a lot of its angry force. Clearly he thought someone might believe us. And Percy didn't like being in trouble. Breaking the rules was okay. Getting caught breaking them was not. Well, I've got some photos of Dean's neck before the bruising went down, Brutal said. I had no idea if this was true or not, but it certainly sounded good. You know what those pics say? That Wharton got a pretty good shot at it before anyone pulled him off, although you were right there, and on Wharton's blind side. You'd have some hard questions to answer, wouldn't you?